Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bird's Eye View, where we connect the past to the present in order to understand what makes the Black community so unique. I am your host, Trenda Byrd of ByrdOwl Consulting, and today I have two guests who have been with me before. My mom, Anton Scott, and my sister, Olivia Byrd, and today we are talking about Black hair. For Black women in our hair, it can be something that we are very prideful about. We love our hair. We can do different styles with our hair, from box braids to dreadlocks. Some of these styles, they span all the way back to the ancient world, and they actually continue to weave their way through the social, political, and cultural conversations surrounding Black identity today. With the box braids and the dreadlocks, there's also Afro shape-ups, and many of these iconic hairstyles can be found in drawings, engravings, and the hieroglyphics from ancient Egypt. Dreadlocks have often been perceived as a hairstyle associated with 20th century Jamaican and Rastafarian culture, but according to Dr. Bert Asher's book, Twisted: My Dreadlock Chronicles, one of the earliest known recordings of the style has actually been found in the Hindu Vedic scriptures. In its Indian origins, the jata, which means wearing twisted locks of hair, was a hairstyle worn by many of the figures written about 2,500 years ago. Some of the other hairstyles that you might see, such as cornrows. Cornrows actually originated in Africa. This style is an intricate braiding of the hair. And in Africa, this hairstyle actually indicated the tribe that you actually belong to. For women, cornrows actually date back at least 3000 BC, and as far back as the 19th century for men, particularly in Ethiopia. Men in Ethiopia who were warriors and kings were often identified by their braided hairstyles. Now, cornrows are still largely worn throughout West Africa, Sudan, and the Horn of Africa. So the Horn of Africa also includes countries like Djibouti and Somalia. This particular style can also signify one's age, religious beliefs, kinship, marital status, and wealth. Braids are also a form of self-expression. In America, we use the term cornrows because they actually remind us of the cornfields. Now, in the Caribbean, however, cornrows are called cane rows because they resemble the sugar canes. Now, when the white men would come over to Africa and capture the Africans to take them into slavery and pick them over to the U.S., they would often shave their heads upon their capture. One reason was because for sanitary reasons, but also there was a psychological effect that impacted what they thought about themselves as people, and was actually a way to strip them of their culture. That was only one of the ways that they were stripped of their culture. It wasn't until after the Civil War where many African Americans, many Black people actually began to straighten their hair. So this whole notion of straightening your hair came about after the Civil War. There was a lady by the name of Madam C.J. Walker. Now, she actually became the first Black millionaire because she invented hair products that were conducive to Black people's hair. And she also invented this system for straightening your hair without damage. So if for the Black community, for everybody should know the name Madam C.J. Walker. Now, another type of hairstyle or things that we would do to our hair is wearing head wraps. Now, head wraps, they have their own history. Starting back in Africa, you see women wearing head wraps that signify, again, their marital status, their religious belief, their culture. But when you get to the U.S., especially back in the times of slavery, that meaning kind of shifted. Historically, the U.S., head wraps were imposed on Black women as a badge of enslavement by the white enslavers. In this way, the head covering was used to distinguish between the Black people without power from those who held it. Another name for head wraps back in the time of slavery was a Negro rag. So when the Africans were brought over, they were given a set of clothes. They were given a rag, and it was called a Negro rag. Now today, head wraps are actually worn all over the United States by Black women and over in Africa. So today, head wraps you can find in different styles, different colors. I find them very beautiful, and now we're just using to embrace them. So that's just a little bit of history about Black women hair. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short little break and hear a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to have a chance to hear from my sister and my mom and have a discussion about Black women and hair. Hi guys. So if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that will allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or from your phone. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast as well, so you don't have to have a lot of listeners in order to make money. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So be sure to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now back to our show. All right, so we are back now, and so I am joined here by my sister and my mom, and I really want to hear you guys' experience and stories of what you think about Black women, their hair, what you think about your hair. So, Mama, I'm gonna start with you first. So I want you to kind of give me a little bit of background about your thoughts about your hair, kind of your experience with your hair growing up as a little girl, and when did you start getting relaxer, and when did you stop, and like why? What kind of things did you do to your hair?
Ooh, you do not want to know some of the things I did to my hair, especially when I was growing up. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to start out with this story. When you said things I did to my hair, the first thing that popped in my head is, my hair is what they call nappy hair. It's real coarse. Okay, that's the proper term, is coarse. But back in the day, we call it nappy. So I'm just going to be real about it. And, and it was really, really hard to comb. And, my older sister, she would try to help me comb my hair out and everything. And I just hated to get my hair combed. And I think from what I went through, how they say that, you're not tender-headed. I was not tender-headed. I could not be tender-headed when people were trying to do my hair. And I remember one night, and I guess I must have been in elementary school, upper elementary, I don't know, maybe about 4th or 5th grade. I was at my grandmother's house, living with my grandmother at that time. And my older sister, I always looked to her to get me out of any kind of messes that I get myself into. And all of a sudden, I got this bright idea when I was trying to comb my hair out. We had this gas heater, but the front part was open so you could see the flames from the fire.
Oh, gosh.
And I just all of a sudden got this bright idea that if I put my hair, hold my head down towards the flames, that it would straighten my hair out. And that way it'd be easier to comb. And thank God that I pulled my head back just in time, because I didn't know that the fire was actually, burning my hair. And so I happened to pull my head back, and I was getting ready to comb the part that I thought I had straightened out. And that's when all this hair fell in my lap. I had burned my hair, and I stopped just before it got to the scalp.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, I did not want my grandmother to know that I had done this, because I was afraid that she was going to give me a spanking if she knew I had did this to my hair. So what did I do? I went running to my sister. Oh, you got to help me. You got to help me. Look what I've done. I'm bald here on spot. My sister, what did you do? What's wrong with you? I was trying to straighten my hair. And by then I was crying and telling her, I'm trying to straighten my hair. And she said, well, what did you do? I put it up against the fire. You didn't do that, idiot.
Oh my God.
Yes. So that was one of the experiences that popped in my head. And so my sister, she did help me and everything, and we cleaned it up and stuff, and she put grease and all that stuff on and tried to hide it with the rest of my hair so grandma wouldn't know what I had done. And I think maybe later on when it grew back and everything, we probably told grandmama what I did. I can't remember now, but that was one of my experiences.
Wow.
But anyway,
so basically you just like burn your hair off before you can even do anything with it.
Yeah. So, but my grandmother, she was the one that helped nourish my hair and helped it to grow. She would take strips of brown paper bag. Gosh, this is really coming back now. And she would, put the grease on it and stuff and brush it, just brush it continuously. They said like 100 strokes, and then she'll take a piece of my hair and wrap that paper bag, intertwine into my hair, like twist it within my hair. And that thing be tight. And I go to bed, and get up the next morning, it's supposed to help stretch out your hair or whatever. And then, of course, we would put it in what we used to call plaits. They call them individual braids now. But back in the day, we'd say, Mama plait my hair, and then she'll put 3 or 4 ponytails, in your head. So that's what we used to do. My hair was beautiful. My hair was beautiful the whole time. I just didn't realize it. But as I got up into high school, my hair was just gorgeous, but it was still hard to maintain. And the first time, well, I'll just tell you another story. I never forget the first time that I found out about a perm. Knew nothing about it the whole time. My grandmother and my sister did, and my aunts, family did your hair. And one day, I was in high school, and I grew up in a small town. Our class went to an amusement park on a field trip. It started to rain. My 2 friends and I, we didn't have any rain gear, so our hair got wet. Well, of course, my hair shrunk to my head, and matted to my head, I should say. But one of my friends' hair stayed straight. I was amazed by how her hair didn't shrink up like the rest of us. I mean, her hair was like straight down her face. So I asked her, how you keep your hair straight and it's wet? And she told me that she has a perm. And my comment was, what? What's that? So here I am in high school and never heard of getting a perm. We just didn't do that. And so, of course, after that, I went home and I told my grandmother, I want to go to the beauty shop. I want to get a perm. And finally, she took us. It wasn't right away. It was still, down the road. But she finally took us, and that's how I got my first perm.
Oh, wow. Now then later on, because I think I remember when we were growing up, you used to get something called texturizers, like a texturizer.
Right, and it's still a form of relaxer. But texturizer is that they just don't keep it on as long to make your hair straight. I have a natural curl pattern, and so it just helped make your hair curly, and it was more manageable. But still, it was chemically based. But yeah, I used to get that as well.
And now, of course, you are fully natural.
Fully natural for years, many years.
And you did the big chop, right?
The big chop.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did both. I let it grow out some. Well, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me think back. You're right, Trenda. You remember, don't you?
Yeah.
I did do the big chop because there were several times in my life anyway that I chopped off all my hair. I mean, all I needed was a brush. And so, so when I decided to go natural for, this is it, I'm not going back to a perm, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. I did chop off all my hair and just let it grow back out. And it was not easy. It was a chore, but we got to train our hair. And that's just one thing that sometimes I think we don't understand, that even though your hair is natural, you still got to do something to it.
Yeah, so for those of you who might not know, when we say the big chop, when every time you get a relaxer, you are, when you're used to getting relaxers, you have to go into the beauty shop and they put the cream or the chemicals on the roots of your hair. Because what happens is you're supposed to go like every 6 weeks or so, because you have new growth. So when your hair is growing, when our hair grows, the hair is coming out of our head. It's called new growth. So that hair is going to be a different texture than the relaxed hair. It's going to be that some people say coarse, or that nappy hair. So you have to go back every 6 weeks or so to put the relaxer on, so you can straighten that hair out. And so, meaning when you do the big chop, you cut off all of the perm, you cut off all the relaxed hair. So for some women, depending on how much new growth you have, that might be that you have a very short cut, like men, or even you have like a buzz cut almost. And then you grow your hair out from there. And so all the hair that is grown out, as long as you don't go back and get a relaxer, that is the natural hair. So that's what that means when we say the big chop. So thank you, Mama. So now I want to hear from my sister, Olivia. This is going to be interesting because since we both grew up in the household, interested to see what her perspective was about her hair and stuff. So, Olivia.
Yeah, so now I'm actually natural. I went natural. It was a big chop in October 2011. And I made a decision to go natural, not actively, actually. Fun fact. So I remember my last perm I ever had, or last relaxer, whatever you want to call it. I know people tend to use that interchangeably. The beautician actually made a comment, because before that it had been like double the amount of time you're supposed to wait between relaxers. And she made a comment saying that, oh yeah, like 2 other people in the beauty shop, oh yeah, she's trying to go natural. And I think for some reason it's like me hearing those words just affirmed what I already was thinking anyway. And so after that was when I was like, you know what, let me not do any more relaxers. Because for me, I did sports growing up, and so I always quickly would just like sweat out the relaxer, and it was just a lot. And and I think around 2011, 2010, actually that was when the natural hair movement really kicked back up in pop culture in general, and it's mostly due to Chris Rock's documentary called Good Hair. And he went through like the chemical part of like what a relaxer is physically able to do to like a steak and like a Coke can, a Coca-Cola can. I was like, yeah, I need to rethink what I'm putting on my head. So that was actually my journey of my decision of going natural was a series of just like little things that were kind of put into my head, and then eventually I just kind of gradually made that decision. But once I started growing my hair out, I remember my mom was actually the person who helped me with the big chop. We were in my dorm room my freshman year of college, and we just like cut my hair off, and I had about 1 inch of hair of fresh like growth at that time, because honestly I was just tired of dealing with the 2 different textures. So that's kind of my snippet of hair journey. But I remember I got my first relaxer when I was in 4th grade. I think I was about 9 years old. And that was just kind of always a thought that was in my head, was that like I'll eventually have to get a relaxer. So whenever I became of a good age, I guess, that's when I started getting this done. But yeah, I mean, I will say, I think black hair is so interesting because just the comments from my peers, like I would actually get the most compliments on my hair whenever I did like more texturized looking styles. So even though I had a relaxed hair, so it was straight, chemically straightened, I would do what we call the braid out, where you wet your hair, you braid it up, and you take out the braids the next morning, and you have like this beautiful crinkly like pattern in your hair. And I love getting my hair done that way because like I don't know, I just like how it looks, and I also just got a lot of compliments. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a words of affirmation person, so compliments really make me feel great.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how when you were talking about how when you got your first relaxer when you're like 9 or 10 years old, because that's around the same age when I first got my relaxer. And back then that was like the age that you kind of did get your first relaxer. And it wasn't until, it was funny because recently I actually learned that that's actually too early for someone to start getting a relaxer. But I remember when I started getting relaxers, that I was about 9 or 10, so about around the same age. And we would always go to get our hair done. This is when we were living in Charlotte. I would always get my hair done. And I would always get the same style. Like, I'll get my hair, like part of my hair would be up in a ponytail and then the rest would be down. And I remember that every time I get it done, we would always have to go to my aunt's house because I want to show off my hair every single time. That was like the tradition. I don't know if you remember that, Mama.
Oh, I was getting ready to cut you off here because y'all forget now. Mama's on the line. Mama knows exactly the stories behind you guys getting.
But it's true.
But, Trenda, who paid for your first perm? Do you know?
Was it Daddy?
It was Aunt Sandy. She paid for your.
That is so unsandy.
But no, people, let me tell you why we did this. Because Trenda, she looked so sad all the time. We didn't know what was going on with her. She was in a preschool, not a preschool. Yeah, you was in a school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember? Okay, predominantly white school. Okay, you could count on one hand how many black children was at that school. And you would just look so sad all the time. We didn't know what was wrong with you.
Because my hair didn't look like their hair.
Wait a minute. I know. But see, that's what we thought. And so I'm saying that, you should have seen that beautiful little face. It's just so sad. We didn't know what was going on. And so Aunt Sandy said, well, let's get her a perm. Let's see if that's what the case is. And when you got your first perm and had your little hairdo all set up, looking white with the little curls falling down and stuff, and you got gorgeous hair. You really did not need a perm. You got beautiful hair. And you just lit up like a Christmas tree.
But I feel like that problem with the reasons why Black women feel the necessity to either get their family members perms or like ourselves, like we need to get perms. I feel like it goes all to the root of that, like Blackness and Black beauty is not seen as beautiful all the time, and we feel like change ourselves to like confront society's norms. So honestly, like I remember it must have been a couple days before I got my first relaxer. Remember there was a school picture. So I have a picture literally of like if not the day of or the day before I got my hair was like, it's now grown back to that length and that size.
Yes.
My hair was so big and beautiful. And if I, as like a 26-year-old woman looking back at like 9-year-old Olivia, I would have told her, no, don't do that. But again, it was just like, I think it was the norm. I just hate that little girls. I think that's okay. Like recently, what is it, Trenda? There's four crowned Black beauty contestant winners throughout the world now, and that's why I even shared it on my Instagram and stuff. Like I think it's so important that especially one winner has short texture curly nappy hair, like Black hair, because like she made a statement, and that's how I felt growing up and still often feel honestly to this day, is that like women who look like her with hair like her were often considered not beautiful. And so the idea that like, it's kind of like a weird thing where you want to be affirmed by society, but also
right. Yeah, and see, and Olivia, let me say this about Olivia, because Olivia hair was hanging down her back. I mean, she had such thick, long hair, and I saw you, Olivia, at Thanksgiving time, and it reminded me of how beautiful your hair is, and it's really, really growing. Have grown back out. And even when we cut it that night, I was wondering if you remembered that. So that was such a wonderful time. That night we cut your hair. We had so much fun. And just the compliments.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the compliments that you came back and told me that you got all day the next day. Yeah. It's like people were just noticing left and right on how beautiful, because I put twisties in your hair, and it was just so gorgeous.
But see,
I was just so happy when she went natural.
But I tell you why that, like even like going back to when I was like in preschool and stuff, and I got, first got my first relaxer and stuff, because I have this thing, and I kind of still have it where I'm slowly shifting my mind, but I have this thing where I like straight hair, but I am getting used to curly hair, because I felt like that I looked better with straight hair. Like I looked prettier with straight hair. Like I didn't look right with curly hair, if that makes sense.
So that makes a lot of sense.
So that is why I always was straightening my hair. And now you two both know that there was like, because I'm actually fully natural now. So I'm team natural. Yay.
That took a while. Yeah.
But let me tell you though, it took a while because I tried twice before to go natural. And I didn't do the big chop, you guys, because I don't like short hair. I would never chop off my hair. That is a hard no. Okay. So I tried twice to go natural, where I was just trying to grow out the relaxed part of my hair. And so both times that failed because I was like, bump this, I can't do this. I can't do anything with my hair. So I would just go back and get relaxer.
Right.
Now the third time was the charm. It really was, because a group of my friends, it was funny because a group of my friends, like out of the 6 of us, I was the only one that was still getting relaxer. All of them, they were like, and they kept pressuring me. They're like, Trina, you need to go natural. And I never forget. That's right. Yeah, and I never forget. We went up to some resort for our birthdays, and we were coming back, and we went to the Luray Caverns, and we went down that cavern. We came back up. My hair was the only one where the humidity had gotten to it and just kind of like messed it up. But because the other girls were natural, it didn't really affect their hair because they were natural. Their hair was already curly. So my hair was all curled up. And so I actually started my transitioning. So transitioning from relaxed hair to natural hair back in, I think it was February 2015. Because I remember I got my hair done for my birthday, and I said to myself, okay, this is it. After this relaxer, I'm gonna transition. So from February of 2015 to about September of this past, September just passed of 2019, I finally decided. And it was funny because I had called my mom and I was like, Mama, guess what I did? I said, I chopped the rest of the relaxer off because I had went and got my hair done, and the beautician was like, you only have like 2 or 3 more inches of relaxed hair. The rest of it is natural. And I was like, I can't. But then one day I was wanting to wear my hair curly. And when I had washed it and put the product in, I had all these like what we call stragglies. So it's like some of the straight part was the relaxed hair. And I was like, so I just started cutting it. And I kept cutting. And then I was like, oh my gosh, my hair looks so pretty, curly like this. Like, I love it. And I took pictures and I sent it to my mom. And I was like,
Mom. I fell out.
Yeah, because I finally cut it off.
Cut that hair. We were trying to get her for I don't know how long just go ahead and get rid of that hair.
Yeah, so September of 2019. So that was basically about about 4 years of me just transitioning. Yeah. And then I finally had the courage to just cut it off because I didn't want to cut it off sooner than that, because it's like I wanted to keep the same length. So now my hair is a little bit shorter, but because the way it grows back so fast. Yeah, and it looks good. Fast. And it grows faster.
And that's what I want to say to both my daughters. You know, you guys are so beautiful. And your hair is so gorgeous. And I'm so glad that you guys have gone back to natural. Because even when I went natural so many, many years ago, we didn't even have the natural products that are out today, you know. And it was a long transition for me, because I really had to, you know, of course, you know, they say every 7 years or so, you know, your hair changed, and I don't know how true that is, but I know for me, my hair have changed over the years. It's even more manageable now. I can even just jump in the shower and wash my hair and come out, and I can actually comb through it, guys. I can actually comb through my hair. And so many different ways I can wear it, and I like the cornrows, I like the braiding, I like the box cut, you know, I like just the curls. It's just so versatile now on how I can do my hair.
Mom, I have a hard-hitting question for you. So you described why Trina got the relaxer. Why did you decide for me to get a relaxer?
Because girlfriend.
That's a good question.
Yes. See, Olivia's hair is more like her mother hair. And Olivia's hair, man, it was so thick and long, and she does have different types of what you call it,
grade of hair.
And so it will take hours. I mean, even the beauticians, when they see her coming, they go, "Oh man, I gotta set aside some hours for this." And so
they see her coming, like, "What? Gotta block everybody else out."
Gotta block everybody else out. This girl hair was just so thick and long. And again, like she was saying, she was playing sports and stuff, and we just didn't have time to keep dealing with her hair. And so that's when we said, okay, let's go relax this hair, so we can go faster and manage it better. But again, those are mistakes that that we made, due to society, and everything. And now that we have learned better, that our hair, God gave us our hair, He gave us our texture, He gave us everything, and we just gotta embrace it and love ourselves. And like I say, over the years, as I trained my hair, it started doing what I wanted to do, and I love my hair now. I wouldn't dare put any kind of chemicals or relax or anything in my hair.
Well, see, part of the problem is the fact that, just like you say, we keep having to have that message of our like, we are beautiful, our hair is beautiful. Part of that is because, kind of going back to the whole white privilege thing, is the fact that we let white man set the standard of what beauty looks like in all aspects, whether it's our skin tone, whether it's our hair, whether it's how we dress. Like the normalization of what the standard of what beauty is not the nappy hair. That's what people say. So It's like now we're having to reintroduce that, say, hey, no, your hair is gorgeous. What is that? The crop top, like you were talking about a little bit, like the crop top, the short hair. It doesn't have to be long hair.
On that note, though, honestly, I get the most compliments on my. If it's a man complimenting my hair, it's mostly a white man. I will say, black men give me, especially African men, always try to open their mouths and say something negative about black men with African hair. Now that I've moved to Tennessee, I have had more black men like actually compliment my natural hair. But in North Carolina, I don't know what it is. The black men over there just like don't like it, and so. I don't know. I think white people, when it comes to natural hair, the joke was that, like, if your hair is relaxed, they're relaxed. But honestly,
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
I like that.
I mean, it's just
say that again, Olivia. What did you say?
I'm gonna tweet that.
No, I've had the most affirmation from white men.
And Trina, I think the word that you're looking for too is that Eurocentric. European. Eurocentric. And let me say these two things. I found it just like horrifying. It's just amazing, negatively, how they have to pass bills and laws.
Yes,
for us. That so we, people in the workplace and in school systems and stuff will allow us to
like back in
wear our natural hair. It's like crazy.
Again.
Okay, well, on that note, so back to that biggest debate is in the military, right?
Yes.
2014, I remember the Army had come out with a new hair regulation that most of the regulations did target specifically black women.
Right.
But then because of all the backlash, they did relax some of those regulations. And so it's just like very interesting how we do have to like police our hair different ways because we're like, oh, is it too unprofessional? Is it too big? Is it too like blackety black? And then I had to think like, I think there was one article I was reading where like some black girl was being attacked for how she's wearing her hair at work by one HR or something. And then she was like, okay, this is literally how the hair grows out of my head.
Right. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's literally how she wears. So like now, like, and then my job that I used to be at, they talked about how you can't wear like head scarves or hats or what have you, blah, blah, blah. But to them, I think because everyone there was just so white, they didn't realize that like for black people, sometimes we do need to wear head scarves because you're having a bad hair day or you don't want to see what's up underneath this, or it just takes too much time to style our hair. So we need something that's quick, and that is most of the time a headscarf.
But see,
I had to educate them.
Yeah,
exactly.
but even with like a headscarf or a head wraps today are beautiful, and they are a form.
And even back in the day, they're beautiful.
Yeah, even back in the day, they're beautiful. But they're also an accessory, just like you wear earrings, just like you wear your rings, just like you wear like a scarf around your neck. Yeah. Head wraps are an accessory, and like. Yeah, I'm glad we're having this discussion because, like, even in the workplace, like, because I was having this discussion in the workplace where I work, it's one, two. I think there's two other Black girls where I work, and one of the women is the administrative manager, office manager, and she does I think a sew-in. So there are different ways that we can wear our hair, but it's like with me, the way I'm currently wearing my hair is I actually have something what's called crochet. So basically what that is, and this is kind of going back to the cornrows, is that my real hair is actually braided, is actually cornrowed. And nowadays, especially for adult women, you'll find that a lot of little girls will have more cornrows, but adult women, we do different things to our hair. We can do wigs, we do sew-ins. It's just like you said, Mama, our hair is so versatile in what we can do. And it's so fun. I love having conversations with my white counterparts, because I've actually had some of my white counterparts who say, "Oh, I just love your hair because you do so much with it." And it's fun. And it's actually fun having these conversations sometimes with my white counterparts, because they just learn so much, and they start to appreciate our hair. And it's like, again, to me, it's all about having conversation and opening and being open to those conversations, because you can't fault someone for not knowing what they don't know.
Exactly. And that's one thing, Trenda. And Trenda, I want to say this since you brought that up about talking to our white counterpart. When I was a young adult and stuff, and I was working at the airport and everything, and I worked with this lady. Her hair was just gorgeous. It was a white lady, and she found something out that she did not know. When I told her I had a perm, she couldn't understand that because my hair was straight. Because for white people, when you say perm, it's curly. But when Black people say get a perm, it makes our hair straight. And so, like I said, it's all about love. It's all about educating each other. And it's all about accepting each other, because we are different, but we're still the same. We're still people, and everything. And I do want to go back in case somebody wants to look up what California law is. It's called the Crown Act. Mm-hmm. And it just passed, about a month ago?
Yeah, not too long ago. And I had even shared it on my page.
Yeah, New York was next, and then New Jersey. And the Crown Act, it stands for Create a Respectful and Open Workplace for Natural Hair. I just find that just a crying shame that they have to put it into law. Because imagine to be accepted.
Imagine if that was the other way around. Imagine if, like, for white people, so for white people, we have to create this law in order for you to keep your hair. Like, let's say this. Let's say that if they could not, like, if you're naturally curly, because you do have naturally curly white hair women. Yes. So what if there was a law that said that you couldn't wear your hair curly? You had to do whatever you had to do to keep it straight. That's the same line. So now they had to create a law saying that in order for white women who are naturally curly to wear their hair curly, that law protects you now. Now, does that sound messed up? That does not make any kind of sense.
Yeah. Because it's basically meant for, for Black women and men to, for us to be empowered to choose how we want to wear our hair. That's on our head. That nobody has the right to tell us how to wear it. Now, that's one thing I will say. And that's, what? We could have started this out and said this one sentence and probably been through. Don't touch the hair.
Yes.
And this is for everybody. White, Black, Asian, I don't care what color you are. Please don't touch my head. Please, you do not touch Black women's hair.
Except for me, you let me touch your hair, right, Mom?
And I don't even want you touching my hair. Nobody touch my hair.
That's what's happening is.
I can't stand for folks to come up and want, oh, your hair's so pretty, and just put their hands all in your hair.
Yeah, that is kind of annoying.
The hair, we don't like to be touched.
Interesting stories about that. So when I was in Singapore, I was at the Singapore Zoo, and I was highly jet lagged. That's a 12-hour time difference from Eastern Standard Time, and so I was just like already tired. It was extremely humid. Like, think the most humid environment you've been in, and then like double that, and that's maybe touching Singapore's humidity. But so I was tired. Whatever, was in the zoo, and I figured this. I had my hair in braids at this time, box braids, and I feel this little tug on one of my braids, and people starting to touch me. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I turn around, and it's something like it's this Chinese family. I know they're Chinese, but they're literally decked out in the Chinese flag from head to toe, and they're just like smiling at me and like trying to talk to me about my hair. But I was like, my Chinese is very limited. I do not know what you're saying to me, and they were just laughing and like. Just like trying to be like genuinely nice. I could tell, just reading their body language, but I was like, this is so weird and inappropriate. But little did I know that would just set the stage for like my entire time in Singapore, because Asia, with Black people, they're always fascinated. But another story. When I was in Uruguay, I had just taken out my hair, and so I like to go like dancing and stuff. Like, cumbia dancing is a lot of fun. You need to go out to have fun. Anyways, I sweat a lot. Any kind of exercise I do, even if it's just like warm up for basketball practice, I sweat, which is whatever. But anyway, so Black hair, you put products in it to like keep it fresh and keep it good looking and all that. Anyway, so I guess this Uruguayan guy just did not realize that, and before I had a chance to warn him, like, I don't know. Also, it's a weird thing about Uruguayans. Like, they tend to fetishize Black women. It's Argentina and Uruguay culture is what they do. Anyway, so after he finished dancing with me, he just decides to, like, put his head in my hand. Put his hands in my hair and just, like, rummage around.
What?
He pulled it away, and he looked at his hands in like disgust.
Well, that was his fault for touching your hair.
Yeah, I was like, because what's mixed in your hands right now is sweat, some oil, maybe some.
I know. That way you don't touch your hair.
And I was like, that's on you, because you didn't bother asking first if you could touch my hair. Now you can back all the
that's your fault.
I think he won't touch nobody else's hair.
Yeah,
I think what's going to have to happen is that we're going to have a part 2 to this, because I really do want to keep this under an hour. But yeah, we're going to have to do a part 2. What I want to do is I know we heard a lot from the Black women, talking about Black women in our hair, but I wanted to also get the perspective of some of the men folk.
Yeah, especially North Carolina men. What's wrong with y'all?
Just men in general. So I had a conversation with my boyfriend Will and the guys from another podcast called On the Ride Up, Brian and T. And so this is what they had to say about Black men and hair. So I'm here with Brian, and he's one half of the podcast On the Ride Up, and I'm also here with my boyfriend Will. And I just wanted to get a little bit of a perspective from men when it comes to Black people and hair. Just wanted to get an idea from the guys, from their perspective, on what it is that you think about your hair, how people have treated you with your hair, some of the stereotypes that you might find about your hair. And then I have a couple other questions when it comes to Black men and hair as well. So, Brian, you want to talk about your podcast?
Sure, yeah. My name's Brian B. One half of On the Ride Up. We do a generally sports podcast. We'll go in and out of different topics of the day, but we just try to anchor it to sports. We're on anchor.fm if you can find us, and every other DSP, digital streaming service, and that has podcasts almost. And yeah, we just try to have fun. We go back and forth, just like how we'd go, to. It's spawned from just us just talking while we're on the ride up to a restaurant or some other event or a sporting event or whatever, and we just get to a lot of things just from you just from sports to politics to just music and hip hop. So yeah, man, we don't talk as much music because I think in our space, in the podcast space, as far as talking conversations, it's a lot of music, hip hop podcasts. So we try to limit that, but yeah, man, we're just trying to have fun, have conversations, engage the people.
Cool. So I
appreciate you having me on. I love your first of all, I love the space that you're trying to get into, and I appreciate the first 2 episodes. They were great.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for saying that. So basically, what do you guys think about when it comes to Black men and hair? I know for women, I know it's kind of like a major part of our identity. So what is it when you what is it that you think about when it comes to Black men and hair?
I think about the creativity that we exhibit through our hair. We do high top fades. We get braids. We get cornrows. I've had those. I'm losing my hair, lost my hair, so I'm bald. But it feels like Black men can rock a baldy with the beard better than anybody. So I feel like I'm still blessed because I can grow a beard, and I'm here. I'm still here with it. So yeah, just the creativity that we exhibit through our hair.
Yeah, I like that.
Originality.
I do remember, there's so many things over the past few years. You brought high top fade, you brought that all the way back. That's funny. But then also that's probably popular in my younger years. Going to the cornrows, and then how inventive and how creative that got with the patterns and the styles that guys were rocking, especially in the Allen Iverson era of the NBA.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good time.
I was doing all of those crisscross braids over top of the other braids, like individuals into the braid and in the cornrows.
Yeah. People were doing patterns and writing stuff with the hair.
Yeah,
wild stuff.
OD.
I think it's interesting how when you talk about Black men and hair, you have to include the whole beard aspect.
Yeah, you do have to include the facial hair.
Yeah, you got to include the facial hair because I remember Kevin Fredericks. Kevin on Stage is the stage name, but he always had this thing about his facial hair and how he didn't want to grow it out because it wasn't like he wouldn't get a full beard.
Yeah, that's me.
And now he's very proud that it took him a while, but now he has that full beard where he can actually go around and be like, oh yeah, I got my beard and everything. But I mean, because to me, like the whole facial hair, the whole going bald, like that's kind of on the same lines for Black women and how we look at our hair. It's like, oh, that's an important part. Like if you guys want to grow a beard and you can't, then it's like you feel a certain kind of way, or you might feel a certain type of way if one guy can grow a full beard than you do.
Yeah, that's why I stay away from the full beard, because I can't really grow facial hair like that, so I keep it trim and I just do a goatee thing, so because that's all the hair that really grows. And people don't realize that I can't grow hair, so it's okay as long as I don't try to go out of bounds with what I can do. Brian has a luscious beard though.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Just pause that. But
yeah.
No. I think Dwayne Martin said this on I can't remember which sitcom it was. He was like, I don't trust the Black man without facial hair, and it's always stuck with me because all the sportscasters or analysts you see on NFL they'll on ESPN they'll shave just to be like their white counterparts, and it's it looks weird to me. And
yeah, a little bit.
That's just a personal thing, but I once he said it, maybe Tony Rock said it, but I remember just really remembering that, and it's just sticking with me because I've never not had every time I've had like shaved my beard or shaved my mustache off, it does look weird and strange. So I can understand where he was coming from.
Well, you had mentioned about like the sportscasters and saying that they had shaven there, and you said it looks weird in your opinion. Do you think they did that so they could look like their white counterparts? Do you think that plays a role in the professional realm of either sportscasting or any kind of professional place that men are? Yeah,
I think being clean shaven in certain white collar realms, it does like it makes you fit. It makes you look like you're fitting in, and it looks non-threatening. That not having to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the look that they're going for. Like and there's like I'm a blue collar tradesman, so I kind of, the guys, even the white guys, have beards, they have tattoos, they, you know what I mean, you can like kind of be out the box with it, but in those corners and TV and entertainment and that type side of it, I think you gotta be more clean cut, straight edge, and shaving is a part of that.
I would definitely agree with that. I know certain, especially the different types of white collars. You see, it's not that there's people who don't wear beards. It's just that you see it less. When you see certain professions, you definitely notice that the guys around, when you notice the black guys, there's less black guys with facial hair, or if they do have facial hair, it's very, very well manicured, as opposed to actually probably what's the cool and common thing, right, going on with beards now, and having them full and kind of grown out. You probably do that less if you're in some kind of New York law firm, right? You know what I mean? Versus, a common day guy. I'm an artist, so and Art B over here is my brother. We grew up together. Our dad's blue collar. We're kind of blue collar in nature, so I think we're more used to kind of doing whatever with your facial hair. But yeah, I can imagine being in certain businesses where maybe I should cut this down a little bit.
Yeah, I just think it's another form of a simulation a little bit. And then you can see like the guy, like once the beard got into like more mainstream hipster world, those guys try look like lumberjacks, but they don't really get that same type of stigma to them, like they're scary. I think like the big black man with the beard kind of off scary, threatening, and I think to stave that off, some certain guys do that. But now with the hipster trends in that way, beards are so in, you can't, it's just like tattoos at one point you can have tattoos on your wrists or exposed where you can see it every day. Now like you go into any office, you can find somebody with arm tattoos with down there in their forearm. So so it's hair. I think hair is a demonstration of your individuality. And sometimes they want you to cut that off.
Now let me ask you this. In terms of when it comes to relationships, when it comes to black women, what is kind of like your type? Because sometimes when we're talking around with my girlfriends and stuff, and sometimes they're like, oh, I know my guy like it when I have like straight hair, or my guy, he doesn't like my natural hair. Like, so what is like you guys like personal preference? Being that you guys are both in relationships.
No problem. I don't like to legislate black women's hair. I've come along to this journey of just being aware that it's such a thing, and that the stereotypes, the whitewashing of black character, and this is all a part of it, and that's a big part of it, is your hair. I don't like I prefer if my girlfriend doesn't wear a weave, but she'll put a weave in. She looks good in everything, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I love natural hair. I love, and whatever grade that is, and I just think we need to take some of these like conditionings that we've gotten with hair, for our own hair, and as I'm gotten older, is to look like us, to be proud of us, whether how it looks, you know what I mean? So I don't try to legislate anything that has to do with hair. Out of the thing. Mm-hmm.
I like the way you said it, because I feel like when you do, because you do have some Black men who do prefer women with straight hair. They don't like the nappy look or the natural hair, and I think it's because of, like you said, the way that society has set the standard of beauty. The standard of beauty right now is that European, that Eurocentric way of looking. And so because we have been ingrained that way, now we are put against our own people. So it's like you have a lot of Black men that can't accept Black women and their natural hair because they think it's supposed to be a certain kind of way.
Yeah, that's probably
it's a deep
true.
It's self-hatred, and I just want to I try to, and I know I've been inundated with it, so I need to make myself aware and retract from that. So that's why I say I don't legislate a Black woman's hair. However her hair is, it's beautiful. Just leave it like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to, like when I have children, don't want to have no perms, nothing like that. Just style it, and that would be like with the mother, with my girl, discretion as far as her daughter. You know?
Yeah, I could say as far as preference, I know it used to be straight hair, but now I don't really care. I just like it to just whatever looks nice or fits that particular woman. Whatever looks nice on her is probably what is best. And so I want, people I want to wear what I want to wear and what I think looks best on me. And I think women should do that with their hair. And usually if you're doing that, it's probably the right way to go. You probably look great, and I'm probably appreciated. I know I do like nowadays, because I realize how much has been put on, to oppress us and push us into a certain type of standard of beauty. I'm totally against like anything where it's like, oh, you have to do that. No. Do what you feel good to you. Do what looks right for you, and mostly do what's healthy for you. Because I want, I think, Black people, we've been trying to do what white people do with their hair for so long. We haven't realized, we're coming into realization in this era that stuff isn't healthy. Our hair is supposed to be the way our hair is supposed to be. And that's what I want. I want Black women to have healthy hair. For us Black guys, I want to keep our hair healthy and looking the way it's supposed to look for our, its natural way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. This just putting the standard, giving that power, the standard, the European standard of beauty, that much power for this long. It's just I'm 100% against it. So I'm to actively do something that comes. Starts with my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like what you guys say, because I think as Black people, we have to look at what the standard of what beauty means to us as a Black culture. And that is why we have to kind of reach back into the history, reach back to the motherland, to Africa, and look at what they were doing in Africa. They weren't getting perms and doing all this stuff. They were doing beautiful hairstyles. And a lot of times I get from my white counterparts that when I get like my crochet or I get my box braids, they absolutely just love my hair, and they love the fact that we can do so much with our hair. But I think we have to look inside ourselves as Black people and say, oh, my hair is beautiful. It doesn't have to be straight, or it doesn't have to have that Eurocentric look to it in order to even be professional. So I think that's something that we have to kind of help educate people and help people to realize that there's not just one standard of beauty for Black men or for Black women.
Absolutely.
So
100%. I'm with that.
But I appreciate you guys being on the podcast today. And for all of you guys listening out there, check out On the Ride Up with Brian and T. They talk about some good stuff. So if you are into sports, please check them out. If you're into other kind of stuff that they're talking about, just be sure to check them out. So
yeah, we try to attack sports from our point of view, which is the Black man's point of view. You don't hear that on sports radio, and much like you get the athlete's point of view, you get the old white guy's point of view, but the Black guys, the young Black male's opinion and point of view is often lost. So we're trying to restore that. We're trying to actually implement that. We're trying to implant that in our podcast.
Well, that's awesome.
I appreciate the time that you and this conversation always needs to be had.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
So each episode, so you got to kind of hear about their perspective, which I think was really cool to hear from them, because when you think about Black hair, you don't really think about the men folk. You think more about the women and how we're doing our hair and what we feel. End of each episode, what I would like to do is to highlight a different Black-owned business. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I believe that we should be investing and putting our monies back into the Black community, because I feel like that is the only way that we can kind of economically build up the Black wealth, because through history, we have had Black Wall Street, like in Tulsa. And if you don't know about the story about Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was literally this whole street of just Black businesses, of doctors, of lawyers and teachers and bankers. And then some white people, they were jealous of that. They did not want us to succeed. So basically they burned it. And there's a famous painting that I have to find. If I find it, I have to put it on my Instagram page. But they burned it. They just burned that city. And so this segment is actually going to be called Bird's Eye View Review. Catchy, isn't it? I like it. So this business we're going to highlight is called Curl Mix. So basically what Curl Mix is, it actually started as a do-it-yourself subscription box where they would actually send you materials to make your own hair products, which I thought that was cool. So they kind of transitioned and kind of evolved from that. But the founders, Kim and Tim, they created this clean beauty brand for curly hair. And so what you do, they use organic products. And so what you do is they actually were featured in Essence Magazine, Ebony Magazine. They've been on ABC TV. And so what you do is you actually can take this quiz online to kind of find out your hair texture, and they were matched based on the quiz. They would match you to a line of hair products that would best suit your hair type. So I took it and I found out that for my hair, I need the Magical Melon Curl Mixer T2. So I'm actually going to order some of that and try that out. And so when I do, I have to let you guys know what I think about it. Because one thing that I'm loving about my hair right now is the fact that, one, because I stopped getting relaxers, my hair has grown so much thicker. I mean, my hair is growing in places that I didn't know your hair could grow. And you can visibly see that it's healthier. So I'm trying to do a better job of that. So that's for Bird's Eye Review. And just to remind you guys, you can also find Curl Mix on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and YouTube. So feel free to check them out. Also, just want to remind you guys, you can also find me on you can find me on Instagram at ByrdOwl_consulting. You can find me on Facebook, just type in ByrdOwl Consulting. I'm also on Twitter, it's Bird_owl. Be sure if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you like this podcast, if you like this episode, please feel free to leave a 5-star review. And tell your friends. I'm trying to create really good content for you guys, both educational, but also, as you can hear, also fun and engaging as well. If you're listening on Anchor, or if you just want to leave a voice message, you can also do that. And I will leave all these links in the show notes for you. If you'd like to support the podcast, there is a link in the show notes for you to support the podcast as well. And just to let you know, Black History Month is around the corner, even though Black History is 365 days a year. But we all know that in February, we like to pay homage to Black history in the month of February. That's also my birthday month, so it's the best month, hands down. So Black History Month is around the corner. So if you or your organization or someone you know is looking for an idea for a Black History program, or someone to do a program for you, you can always schedule a consultation with me, and we can see how my services would be best, what service would be best for you. And that link will be in the show notes as well. In case you guys are wondering, the cover art for this podcast was actually done by DesignxWillpwr. All my logos, all the graphics that you see on social media were done by DesignxWillpwr. So you can actually find him on Instagram. I'm also going to include his link in the show notes as well. So in case you need some graphics done, you can hit him up. So basically everything is in the show notes, people. So if you're looking for something, it's in the show notes. But if you can't, you can call me, but not call me, but you can really, if you need something, you can email me at ByrdOwl Well, that is it for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening, and thank you to my guests, my mom and my sister Olivia. And remember, in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. So stay tuned for next week's episode on Bird's Eye View, and stay tuned for part 2, because I know you guys probably want to hear that. So until then, bye.